Welcome back to the Old World Game Master. For the part 3 of my subclass analysis, we're going to take a look at fighters and monks, starting with fighters. So the first is the all-time beloved Battle Master fighter. At level 3, we get combat superiority. Your experience on the battlefield has refined your fighting techniques. You learn maneuvers that are fueled by special dice called superiority dice. You learn the 3 maneuvers of your choice. Many maneuvers enhance an attack in some way. You can use only 1 maneuver per attack. You learn 2 additional maneuvers of your choice when you reach fighters level 7, 10 and 15. Each time you learn new maneuvers, you can also replace 1 maneuver you know with a different one. You have 4 superiority dice that are d8s. A superiority die is expended when you use it. You again all expend the superiority dice when you finish a short or long rest. You gain an additional superiority die when you reach fighter level 7 and 15. If a maneuver requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your strength or dexterity modifier, your choice, and proficiency bonus. Still level 3, we get Student of War. You gain proficiency with 1 type of artisan's tools of your choice, and you gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice from the skills available to fighters at level 1. So this expands our skills by 1, and it gives us an artisan tools proficiency. It may be important, maybe just flavor, depending on your campaign, depending on your dungeon master. For the combat superiority, this is the main skill of the Battle Master. Depending on which maneuvers you take, you can be exceptionally effective in combat or a sort of controller during a fight. When you have a number of these maneuvers packed together, you can be both. At level 7, you get Know Your Enemy. As a bonus action, you can discern certain strength and weaknesses of a creator you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You know whether the creator has any immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities, and if the creator has any, you know what they are. Once you use this feature, you can do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore use of this feature by spending 1 superiority die, no action required. So this is an often underestimated ability. If you are a new player and you don't know the monsters in the monster manual, this ability is golden. Because you decide, I want to know if my enemy has immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and you can exploit them. If you are an advanced player, and I cannot believe someone knows every monster in the manual, but this plays less of a role in your play, okay, your game. Level 10, improved combat superiority. Your superiority die becomes a d10, so even better. At 15, we get Relentless. Once per turn, when you use a maneuver, you can roll a d8 and use the number rolled instead of expending a superiority die, which means, basically, you have a free maneuver to use. Which means if you finish your superiority dice, you can use this and go on using your maneuvers. At level 18, you get ultimate combat superiority. You get your superiority die becomes a d12, and then there's the list of the maneuver options. Now, I'm not going to look at all the maneuvers. This is material for another video, but depending on which ones you choose, considering that at a certain point you will have many of these, try to mix damage-wise maneuvers with control-wise maneuvers, because having both will be good for your combat. Now, what to say about this subclass? This subclass is one of the two, for me, that are at the top in terms of power, yes, but also in terms of fun. This subclass, if you want pure fighter, this subclass is probably the best one. Not probably, it's the best one if you want pure fighter, if you don't want to deal with spells or other weird stuff. This is the best subclass for a fighter you can choose if you only want to be a fighter. The second subclass is champion. At level 3 champion, we get improved critical. Your attack rolls with weapons and armor strikes can score a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20 on the D20. And we get remarkable athlete. Thanks to your athleticism, you have advantage on initiative rolls and strength athletics checks. In addition, immediately after you score a critical hit, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. So these two abilities are strictly tied to scoring criticals. And I have to say, I've seen many times players using, I've never played this subclass, but I've seen many players that played with me using this class. Scoring a critical is not that easy, even if you have 19 or 20, so you have an additional option. The chances are very, very low. If you get advantage, maybe they're a little bit higher, but still, all these two abilities, with the only exclusion of the advantage of initiative rolls and athletic checks, which is okay, are not that huge. At level 7, you get an additional fighting style. This is good because, for example, you can get Great Weapon Master and Defense to improve your attack and your defense, which is pretty good in terms of playing. At level 10, Heroic Warrior. The thrill of the battle drives you toward victory. During combat, you can give yourself heroic inspiration whenever you start your turn without it, which is another way to say that you can reroll your attack if you miss. Level 15 Superior Critical. Now basically you can score a critical hit with a 18, 19 or 20, which improves still your critical. Still, it's not that easy to deal critical damage. Remember, this must be natural D20. It must not be 15 plus 3 of your strength. No, that must be the number you roll on the die. At 18, we get Survivor. You attain the pinnacle of resilience in battle, giving you these benefits. Defy death. You have advantage on death saving throws. Moreover, when you roll 18, 20 on a death saving throw, you gain the benefit of rolling a 20 on it. So, 2 successes. Heroic Rally. At the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier if you are bloodied and have at least 1 hit point. So, basically you have sort of regeneration skill. This is good, but it's the 18th level. It's kind of late, and it depends if your campaign reach that level. It's an okay ability. It still relies on your rolls heavily. So this class is a class for someone that is particularly lucky on rolling dice. Because otherwise, if you're not that lucky, this subclass will feel like playing the barbarian, but without the skills that the barbarian gets to improve their damage. There is nothing here that improves your damage, apart from the ability to reroll a d20 per turn, but nothing else. This class, for me, it's not a bad subclass. Okay, it's a subclass for probably advanced players that know what they want to do, but it will feel like playing a barbarian without the skills that the barbarian gets. All the people that played this subclass in my games, after some levels, asked me to change subclass. It may not be true for everybody. This happened to me. So I will pair this subclass. I will put this subclass in the group of not very fun to play. Sorry to say this, maybe someone loves champion, and that's okay. I mean, this is my experience, okay? My experience is whoever played this asked me to swap the subclass at a certain point in the game, especially around between level 5 and level 8. Almost always. Only once someone brought it at level 12, but he struggled a lot. So just so you know, when you pick this subclass, what you will be, what you will meet as a game, okay? Eldritch Knight. At level 3, we get the spellcasting with, remember, the Eldritch Knight is a half spellcaster, almost half spellcaster. We reach level 4 spells. So having spells is never bad. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for your wizard spells. So pay attention here. I've seen many builds of Eldritch Knight because it's one of those subclasses that are very malleable. They are very dependent on how you build them. As a fighter, remember, you are still a fighter. Your main focus is the fighter. The wizard spells are there as a upper layer, as another layer of your possibilities. Honestly, I think you should focus on being lethal with the spells. The spells should be there to improve your being a fighter, not vice versa, okay? You will still get, at level 20, you will still get 4 attacks per round, which means you, per turn, sorry. So you has to focus on that, not on using damaging spells. For instance, also because your intelligence will never be that high at the beginning of the game would be good, but going on, you probably will never improve your intelligence. So never get spells that have saving throws or attack rolls for you to make to deal damage, because the more you go on, the more the enemies will succeed in their saving throws, and you will fail your attack rolls. You should choose the spells that improve your abilities as a fighter, defensive spells, or the ones that improve your attacks with weapons. The only build that you can go full intelligence is if you get Magic Initiate Druid and get Shillelagh and use a stick, a quarterstaff, as your main weapon. In that case, you can only pump up your intelligence because you will attack with your weapon with Shillelagh, which means you will attack with your intelligence. So you can go that route. But if you go a normal fighter route, strength or dexterity, depending if you're going great weapon or to weapon, your intelligence will not grow. So pick defensive and spells that improve your abilities with the weapons. Level 3, War Bond. You can bond with two weapons, and you can summon them with a bonus action, but you can only summon one per bonus action. At level 7, this is a good ability. It's more of a flavor one but it's really good. For example, if you are ever without weapons and a fight breaks out, you can summon your weapon with a bonus action. Level 7, War Magic. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with a casting of one of your wizard cantrips that has a casting time of an action. So this is good because when you probably at level 7, I hope you chose to get True Strike at this level. So you mean you have two attacks. So one attack normal and the second attack you use True Strike. So you deal the weapon damage plus 1d6 of your True Strike. However, take in count that True Strike requires you to attack with your spellcasting ability, so intelligence. So here is the same point as we talked 1 minute ago. If you're going with the build of the Shillelagh build, this getting True Strike is a no-brainer. If you're going with full fighter build, True Strike may be effective at the beginning, and you may start, unless you have advantage, you may start missing after a while. Level 10, Eldritch Strike. You learn how to make your weapon strikes undercut a creator's ability to withstand your spell. When you hit a creator with an attack using a weapon, again, that creator has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. So this is made in a way that when you hit an enemy, the next turn you can cast, for example, a web, and the enemy has disadvantage on a saving throw, so there is a high chance that you restrain them. It's just an example, but this is how you use this ability. If your intelligence is high, this ability is golden. If you are going full fighter, so your intelligence stays probably around 16 the entire game, you will feel this ability will lose effectiveness after a certain level. At level 15, we get Arcane Charge. When you use your action surge, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You can teleport before or after the additional action. So this is a way to deal damage to an enemy, generally to deal damage to an enemy, then reposition and deal damage to another enemy using action surge. It's a good ability. You can only use it when you have action surge charges, so it's limited. Still a good one. Level 18, Improved War Magic. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace 2 of the attacks with a casting of one of your level 1 or level 2 whiz spells that has a casting time of an action. This does not replace War Magic. So if you have, let's say, 4 attacks, you can replace 1 with a cantrip, 2 with a spell of level 1 or level 2 spell, and then you can attack once. So this is another very good ability because it makes you able to do a number of things and not just attack. What to say about the Eldritch Knight? I think fun-wise, the Eldritch Knight goes up there with the Battle Master. The only difference is, do you want to be a pure fighter, like the Battle Master, or do you want to be a spellswork and go with the Eldritch Knight? The new rules in 2024 really expanded the Eldritch Knight in a good way. So for me, this is one of the most fun fighters you can play. But you just have to pay attention to, if you go pure fighters or strength or dexterity based, stick to the spells that improve your defense or your weapon attacks. If you go with the hybrid build with the quarterstaff and the shillelagh, at that point go with the spells that you like the most, because at that point you are basically half wizard, okay? Your choice. The last subclass is Sea or Psi Warrior. At level 3 you get psionic power. You have a well of psionic energy dice, which fuel powers you have from this subclass. The Psi Warrior energy dice table shows the dice size and number of the dice you have when you reach certain fighter's level. So at level 3 you get d6s, 4 d6s, at level 5 you have 6 d8s, at level 9 you have 8 d8s, and so on. Level 11, 8 d10, level 13, 10 d10, and level 17, capstone, 12 d12. Any feature in this subclass, they use a psionic energy die, use only the dice from this subclass. Some of your powers expand the psionic energy die as specified in the power's description. And you can't use a power if it requires you to use a die when all the psionic energy dice are expanded. You regain one of your expanded psionic energy dice when you finish a short rest, and you regain all of them when you finish a long rest. This is more or less the same ability table that the Soul Knife Rogue has. Okay? The idea is basically the same. Now, how do you use these psionic energy dice? Protective field. When you or another creator you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can take a reaction to expend one psionic energy die. Roll the die and reduce the damage taken by the number rolled plus your intelligence modifier, as you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. So at the beginning it's a d6, which is good. You end with a d12. It's not major, I would say. You can only expand one die. So at the beginning, a d6 at third level may be an important reduction. The more you go up, the less this ability will be impactful. Not useless, because if you take damage, and you take 30 damage, let's say, and your life is 30 at that point, this will prevent you to die. So it may be useful, but for example, if at level 17 you have 30 life and you get 50 damage, this is totally useless, because the maximum you will prevent is 12, well, it will be 17, which means you still get 33, you die anyway. Not die, but you go to 0 hit points anyway. So the more you get up, with levels, the less impactful this will be. So use it at the beginning and use it to avoid dropping to 0 when you can in the late levels. Psionic Strike, you can propel your weapons with Psionic Force once on each of your turns, immediately after you hit a target within 30 feet of yourself with an attack and deal damage to it with a weapon. Within 30 feet, it means you can be also a ranged weapon. You can expend one psionic energy die, rolling it and dealing force damage to the target equal to the normal rollers plus your intelligence modifier. These will still be impactful at high levels because a D12 added to damage is not nothing. However, still, a D6 at third level will be a lot. A D12 at 17 level is probably a little bit of more damage, but the maximum you will deal is a D12 plus your intelligence modifier, which means the maximum will be 17. The average at 17th level will probably be 11, more or less. So not impactful at higher levels. Telekinetic movement. You can move an object or a creature with your mind as a magic action, so this replaces your attack. Choose one target you can see within 30 feet of yourself. The target must be a loose object that is large or smaller, or one willing creator other than you. You willing. You transport the target up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, if the target is a tiny object, you can transport it to or from your hand. Once you take this action, you can do so until you finish a short or long rest, unless you expend a psionic energy die, no action required, to restore your use of it. So technically it is free the first time, but the other times you have to expend a psionic energy die. These will always be sort of useful. But remember, loose object, which means you cannot pull a lever with this. It's not mage hand. You cannot pull a lever. You cannot press a button. No, it must be a loose object, and you can move it. Okay. So it may be useful. It's extremely situational. So again, the first two will be impactful at the beginning. We will lose their importance in your way to higher levels. This is situational, can be useful always because it doesn't change depending on levels, but at the same time, it's a niche. Okay. Level 7, you get telekinetic adept. So you get new abilities. Psi Power Leap, as a bonus action, you gain a fly speed equal to twice your speed, so let's say 60, until the end of the current turn. What does it mean? It means you cannot hover. So you are still up in the air. At the end of the turn, you fall. Once you take this bonus action, you can do so again until you finish a short long rest, unless you expend a psionic energy die, no action required. So the first time is free, the other times you had to expend a psionic energy die. So you have a bonus action, sort of fly, 60 feet if you have a normal 30 feet movement. If you are, for example, a wood elf with 35 movement, will be 70, okay? And you get telekinetic thrust. When you deal damage to a target with a psionic strike, this one, you can force the target to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you can give the target the prone condition or transport it up to 10 feet horizontally. So you pull it, push it, basically, move it. 10 feet or horizontally, so not up in the air, or you give it the prone condition. At level 10 we get Guarded Mind. You have resistance to psychic damage. Moreover, if you start your turn with the Charmed or Frightened condition, you can expend a psionic energy die, no action required, and end every effect on yourself giving you those conditions. So at level 10 you have a way to end the Charmed or Frightened condition and you are resistant to psychic damage. This is a good feature because at this level you start encountering enemies that can give you these conditions that are nasty. So this is a good skill to get. Level 15, Bulwark of Force. You can shield yourself and others with telekinetic force. As a bonus action, you can choose creators, including yourself, within 30 feet of yourself, up to a number of creators equal to your intelligence modifier. So level 15, probably you have 5 plus 5, so 5 creators. Each of the chosen creators has half cover, which means it has plus 2 on AC and dexterity saving throws for 1 minute or until you have the incapacity condition. Once you use this feature, you can do so until you finish a long rest or you expend a psionic energy die. All of them are like this. So it's free the first time and then you expend a psionic energy die, which at level 15 you have 10. And this is probably the best use for your psionic energy dies at this level. Level 18, Telekinetic Master, you always have the telekinesis spell prepared. You can cast it without a spell slot or components, and your spellcasting ability is intelligence. On each of your turns, while you maintain concentration on it, including the turn when you cast it, you can make one attack with a weapon as a bonus action. Once you cast this spell with this feature, you can do so until you finish on rest unless you expand. So all your skills are tied to these dice. When you finish them, you are absolutely a normal fighter, like without even a subclass. Is it worth it? Well, if you want to feel like a Jedi, yes. However, many of these abilities can be replicated with spells. Not all of them, but many with spells by the Eldritch Knight. So, is it worth it? Flavorful? Yes. It's a fun subclass to play. Is it worth it? That depends on you. As in terms of power, this is below Battlemaster and Eldritch Knight, but above Champion for me. However, in terms of fun, this is tied with Battlemaster and Eldritch Knight. If you want to play the telekinetic master like a Jedi, as I say, this is the way to go. However, remember, if you finish these dice, you will feel like a fighter without a subclass. So these are all the subclasses of the fighter. Tell me what you think, and now we are moving on to the monk. So, the monk. The monk with 5.5e has had a big revamp. So let's take a look. Warrior of Mercy. At level 3 we get Hand of Harm. Once per turn, when you hit a creator with an unarmed strike and deal damage, you can expend 1 focus point to deal extra necrotic damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. So, at level 3, our martial art die is a 1d6. So, we add 1d6 to our damage once per turn, plus wisdom modifier. So, plus. At level 3, probably you have plus 3, so plus 3. Level 3, Hand of Healing. As a magic action, so in this case it takes up all your action. You can expend one focus point to touch a creator and restore a number of hit points equal to a roll of your martial art die, 1d6, plus your wisdom modifier, so an average of 6 hit points. When you use your flurry of blows, you can replace one of the unarmed strikes with a use of this feature without expending a focus point for the healing. So, if I'm using my focus point to use flurry of blows, I can include the healing in the flurry of blows, replacing one of the unarmed strike. This means the only way to use this is if I am in melee range from an enemy and an ally that I have to heal. Otherwise I cannot use this ability. How many times happens in your games this kind of situation? In my games, I see it happening quite often, depending on the numbers of the enemies. If they are a lot, so the party is scattered, it doesn't happen. But if there is the big bad guy, let's say, or there are fewer enemies and the party can pair against a single enemy, these may come up. Still, I consider this very situational. Still, level 3, Implements of Mercy. You gain proficiency in the insight and medicine skills and proficiency with the herbalism kit. This is good, because you get 2 wisdom-based abilities and proficiency with herbalism kit, which it makes you able to create potion of healing. A level 6, Physician's Touch. Your End of Arm and End of Healing improve. How? End of Arm, when you use End of Arm on a creator, you can also give that creator the poisoned condition until the end of your next turn. A poisoned creator has disadvantage, while you have the poison condition, you have a disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. It's a bad condition. However, the more you go up in levels, the more you will find creatures that are resistant or immune to the poisoned condition. So take that in account when you consider this ability. Okay, it's a good ability, especially at lower levels. End of Healing. When you use your End of Healing, you can also end one of the following conditions to the creator you heal: blinded, deafened, paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. Basically, you have the lesser restoration included with your Hand of Healing. This is good. This is pretty good. A level 11, Flurry of Healing and Harm. When you use your Flurry of Blows, you can replace each of the unarmed strikes with a use of End of Healing without expending focus points for the healing. So you basically do a flurry of healing. In addition, when you make an unarmed strike with Flurry of Blows and deal damage, you can use End of Arm with that strike without expending a focus point for End of Arm. You can still use End of Arm only once per turn. You can use this benefit a total number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. So this is a limited ability that you have. Still, if you have to heal a couple of allies, go with the Flurry of Blows and use all your strikes as Hand of Healing. Level 17, Hand of Ultimate Mercy. Your Mastery of Life Energy opens the door to the Ultimate Mercy. As a magic action, so the entire action, you can touch the corpse of a creator that died within the past 24 hours and expend 5 focus points. So it's expensive. The creator, at this point you have a lot of focus points, you have 17 focus points, so you can afford this. The creator that returns to life with a number of hit points equal to 4d10 plus your wisdom modifier. If the creator died with any of the following conditions, the creator revives with the conditions removed: blinded, deafened, poison, stunned, the same as here. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So this is an ability that has one use. You still have to spend 5 focus points on it. So you have to use it in a pickle. I mean, you have to be in a bad condition when one of your allies is down and you have no druids, no clerics, no bards, nobody that can save them. This is for me, this is a very weak capstone for this subclass, because 5 focus points, only once per long rest. It's my ultimate ability, once per long rest, and I have to spend 5 focus points to do something that generally any other ally probably can do better than me. Is it worth it? Again, if it's extremely situational. All of the cleric, the druid, the bard, they all have to have finished their slots so they cannot use cure wounds, or the paladin, and you have to use this in their stead to save an ally. In that case, it's really useful, but still, that's a very weird situation if you are required to use this. So for me, this is not a really good ability. The others are sort of good, sort of okay, let's say. I think that this subclass is kind of middle of the pack in terms of monk, because it gives you good things. If I have to sum it up in one sentence, as I said to one of my players when he asked about this, I told him it's the okayest of the monks. It's not good, it's not bad, it's the okayest of the monks. I think this is valid for this subclass. Still, it's not bad to play. I mean, in the end, he ended up to play this and he had fun. It's not extremely powerful. This is from his point of view. Warrior of Shadow. At level 3 we get Shadow Arts. So we get some abilities. Darkness. You can expend 1 focus point to cast the Darkness spell without spell components. You can see within the spell's area when you cast it with this feature. While the spell persists, you can move its area of darkness to a space within 60 feet of yourself at the start of each of your turns. You gain Dark Vision with a range of 60 feet. If you already have Dark Vision, its range increases by 60 feet. This is good, for example, if you are human and you don't have Dark Vision, or if you are also an elf. With 60 feet, you get 120, like a drow. If you're a drow, you have 180. Shadowy Figments. You know the Minor Illusion spell, Wisdom is your casting ability for it, and this will always be a good cantrip to have. So Dark Vision is, well, it depends if you have it. If you don't have Dark Vision, this is huge. If you have it, it's still good because you increase the distance. Darkness is a really good spell, but when you have a party, remember to agree with your friends and tell them that you're gonna be using this spell, because otherwise you will blind them and that will be an issue. Level 6, Shadow Step. While entirely within dim light or darkness, you can use a bonus action to teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space. You can see that is also in dim light or darkness. You can then have advantage on the next melee attack you make before the end of the current turn. So this is free bonus action teleport when you are in darkness or dim light. Darkness means also into your darkness spell. Remember, the darkness spell has a 50-foot radius. So let's say it means it's 30 feet area, basically. 30 feet cloud of darkness, so you can freely teleport in your darkness as many times as you want. I mean, once per turn, but I mean as many times as you want during that fight. Or if you are doing a dungeon and it's dim light or darkness, you can freely teleport up to 60 feet everywhere without expending any resource. This is huge. I've seen this used, and I can tell you, this is, for the master, in that case for me, was really difficult to counter, especially in a dark zone. Level 11, improved shadow step. You can draw on your shadow spell connection to empower your teleportation. When you use your shadow step, you can expend one focus point to remove the requirement that you must start and end in dim light or darkness for the use of its feature. As part of this bonus action, you can make an unarmed strike immediately after you teleport. So, if I don't expend a focus point, I have advantage on the next melee attack I make, which means it's a good ability to have the main hand, the top hand on your enemy. If I expend a focus point, I can make an unarmed strike immediately after you teleport as part of the action. So I use the bonus action to teleport, and I have advantage, and I can make an unarmed strike immediately after you teleport as part of the bonus action. So this is really good. It's really good. The main way to use this monk is you cast darkness. You fight in the darkness with your enemies. You teleport. Always, every turn. You teleport. If you are in front of your enemy, you teleport the back and vice versa. You get your advantage. And you drop also an unarmed strike after you did it. It's top ability. But this will prevent you to use your flurry of blows. So you can still use the shadow step, but if you use the improved shadow step, you lose the ability to to use your flurry of blows. So level 17, Cloak of Shadows. As a magic action, so your entire action, while entirely within dim light or darkness, you can expend 3 focus points to shroud yourself with shadows for 1 minute, until you add the incapacity condition or until you end your turn in bright light. While shrouded by these shadows, you gain the following benefits. So bright light is normal illumination lets most creators see normally. Even gloomy days provide bright light, as your torches, lanterns, fires. So this is good. It's not overpowered. You have the invisible condition. Partially incorporeal. You can move through occupied spaces as if they were difficult terrain. If you end your turn in such a space, you are shunted to the last unoccupied space you were in. So you can pass through enemies or allies as difficult terrain. So you need every foot of movement in the space costs 1 extra foot. Shadow Flurry. You can use your flurry of blows without expending any focus point. So this is good because let's say you are in your darkness. You use 3 focus points to become invisible. And you can use your flurry of blows without expending a focus point. So this is very good if you use it also to attack. If you only use this and expend 3 focus points to only become invisible, you are kind of missing out. So what to say about Warrior Shadows? For me, Warrior Shadow is top shelf. it's there in terms of power. It's there with the Warrior of the Elements, but it's a completely different playstyle. The main ability is Darkness. So if you have allies that are heavily dependent on seeing the enemies, these subclass must be used with care. Don't go around spreading your darkness when you have a wizard in the party because you are preventing him to doing almost anything. So pay attention on how you use it, but this is a very good monk subclass in terms of fun, in terms of flavor, and in terms of power. It has it all. Warrior of the Elements. Level 3, you get Elemental Attunement. At the start of your turn, you can expend one focus point to imbue yourself with elemental energy. The energy lasts for 10 minutes, or until you have the incapacitated condition, and you gain the following benefits. Reach. When you make an unarmed strike, your reach is 10 feet greater than normal, as elemental energy extends from you. So you reach 15 feet. Or, if you're using a board, you're reaching the third square from you. Elemental Strikes. Whenever you hit with your unarmed strike, you can cause it to deal your choice of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. Basically, you can change your normal damage type to an elemental damage. When you deal one of these types with it, you can also force the target to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you can move the target up to 10 feet to order away from you, as elemental energy swirls around it. Now, the big deal here is I am fighting someone that is in melee from me. I hit it. I move it 10 feet away. This is different from the Psi fighter. It doesn't say horizontally. It says away from you. If I'm punching someone with an uppercut, for example, I can move it away from me 10 feet in the air. So he falls and he gets 1d6 additional damage. Having 1d6 damage every round, better. Not every round, every hit I give him. So if I'm using my flurry of blows, hitting, falling, hitting, falling, hitting, falling. Now, I allow this in my games. Talk to your dungeon master before going on with this combo, because he may rule it differently. He may rule it like you are doing as Kenshiro in Kuto no Ken, and you are hitting it multiple times, keeping it in the air, and then he falls. So depending on the how your DM rules, or you get 1d6 damage more, or you get 1d6 per attack damage, which is huge. See, level 3, Manipulate Elements, you get the Elementalism spell, with your spellcasting ability for it. Elementalism spell is mainly flavor, because it has 30 feet of effect. It can be used to distract or stuff like that, but it's mainly flavor. Level 6, Elemental Burst. As a magic action, so your entire action, you can expend 2 focus points to cause elemental energy to burst in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point within 120 feet of yourself. Choose an elemental damage type. Each creator in the sphere must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creator takes damage of the chosen type equal to 3 rolls of your martial arts die. On a successful save, they take half damage. This is basically having a Shatter spell expanding 2 focus points. Is it worth it? It depends. It is a limited but still good area of effect, and it's the only area of effect that you have. So it's good to have one, especially if you have a bunch of enemies close together. However, at the beginning, when you get it, it's a good damage. The more you get up, the less the damage is impactful. Still, having an area of effect as a monk is good. Level 11, Stride of the Elements. While your elemental attunement is active, so the ability we got at 3rd level for 1 focus point, you also have a fly speed and a swim speed equal to your speed. So it means every time I use 1 focus point to activate this, we can fly up to 30 feet for 10 minutes. So this is pretty good. Fly is always good. Consider that if you get the grapple, this is the best monk to get the grapple, the grappler feature, because you grapple the enemy while you're using the elemental attunement. You fly up in the air and you drop it. Level 17, Elemental Epitome. While your elemental attunement is active still, you also gain the following benefits. Damage resistance. You gain resistance to one of the following damage types of your choice: AC, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. At the start of each of your turns, you can change this choice. This is okay, I would say, because getting resistant to fire, cold may be good. Lightning doesn't come up as often as thunder, for example. Thunder is the same. Acid, okay, it's always good. And the fact that you can change at the start of your turn this choice, it means you have resistance to fire. Then you kill the enemy, you go to the next enemy, and the next enemy has cold damage. You can change. So you can adapt to the damage of the enemy if the damage is elemental. Destructive Stride. When you use your Step of the Wind, your speed increases by 20 feet until the end of the turn. For that duration, any creature of your choice takes damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die when you enter a space within 5 feet of it. The damage type is your choice of, again, elemental damage. A creator can take this damage only once per turn. So it's like you get a shutdown stride, and it's a okay ability because it's only 1 roll of your martial arts die, so it's not much, but consider the speed you have. You can really probably touch every enemy and give 1 martial die to all of them. So it's a good one to use when the enemies are a lot and you can link all of them in one run. Empower the strikes. Once on each of your turns, you can deal extra damage to a target equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die when you hit it with an unarmed strike. The extra damage is the same type dealt by that strike. So once on each of our turns, when we hit, we also add a martial art die to the hit. It's okay. So how it is to play Warrior of the Elements? I only played this monk, and I have to say from my direct experience, I had a lot of fun playing this. You can do a lot of stuff. I always, every fight I entered my elemental attunement state. Always. Because that's the main ability here. And I could deal damage from afar. I could move around since a monk has a really high speed, I could go around the entire battlefield flying, pulling enemies up in the air, dropping them, running around, dealing damage. This is, for me, top shelf as the Warrior of Shadow. In terms of power, we are there. This one deals more damage. The other one has advantage on almost all the on many attacks. So the two things, I think, they cancel each other. So they are the same level in terms of fun, in terms of power, and in terms of, they are really easy to use. With the Warrior of Shadow, a little bit tricky because of darkness, but they're really easy to use. And also, Warrior of the Elements is the perfect subclass to pair with a level dipping fighter to get Weapon Masteries, so you can play the Wave of the Two Heavens or Miyamoto Musashi build that you can find in my channel. So yeah, Warrior of the Elements and Warrior of the Shadows Warrior of Shadow are at the same level for me. Warrior of the Open Hand. At level 3 we get Open Hand Technique. Whenever you hit a creator with an attack granted by your flurry of blows, you can impose one of the following effects on that target. Idle. The target can't make opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. So this is a way to impair your enemy for the current turn. They cannot make opportunity attacks. Push. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 15 feet away from you. Topple. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. These are all good. Consider that the first one, there is no saving throw. That's how it is. Remember, you can impose only one of these effects. So if you have an enemy, if you have an ally that is too close to an enemy, for example a wizard, and they have to move away and they cannot, otherwise they get an opportunity attack, you go hit the enemy with a flurry of blows, you idle them, the wizard can go. Push and Topple have saving throws, but they are both pretty good. Especially Topple, because you can, if you use your flurry of blows at the beginning of your turn, and you topple the enemy down, all of the other attacks have advantage. So this is huge if it lands. Level 6 we get Wildness of Body. You gain the ability to heal yourself. As a bonus action, you can roll your martial arts die. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So at level 6, probably your wisdom modifier should be still +3, probably, because you are, I think, you are giving priority to dexterity. So 3, it means level 6 you have 1d8, so you get 1d8 plus 3 healing, and you can do it a maximum of time of 3 times per long rest. It's decent. It's not at the level of a fighter, for example, but it's still decent to be used when you are really in bad shape, I would say. Level 11, Fleet Step. When you take a bonus action other than Step of the Wind, you can also use Step of the Wind immediately after that bonus action. So, for example, you use Flurry of Blows, and you can use Step of the Wind. It's good. It's not top shelf, but it's good. And then level 17, Quivering Palm. Always, when I had someone playing the Warrior of the Open Hand, the idea was to get to level 17 to get this. Always. You gain the ability to set up Lethal Vibration. When you hit a creator with an unarmed strike, you can expend 4 focus points to start these imperceptible vibrations, which last for a number of days equal to your monk level, so 17 days in this case. The vibrations are harmless unless you take an action to end them. Alternatively, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can forego one of the attacks to end the vibrations. To end them, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you end them, the target must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 10d12 force damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. You can have only one creator under the effect of this feature at a time. You can end the vibrations harmlessly, no action required. So 10d12 looks huge, but we are talking about an average of 65 force damage. It's still good, but it's not that powerful as someone may think. Also, you can have only one creator under the effect of this feature at a time, which means, of course, for focus point, when you are level 17, you can do the same thing 4 times for 16 points, which means 60 multiplied by 4 is 320 force damage. You can, in four rounds, you can take down basically any enemy. I think any creator in the book with 320. I may be wrong. Maybe that not the Tarask. Let me check. This is worth checking. Let me check this. This one is the new one. Well, you can take down the almost half of Tarask's life within 4 rounds, which is a lot. But if you use it once, it's good. 60, 65 in one turn is a lot. Plus all the other damage that you are dealing. But you're level 17 here, so playing this subclass only to reach this, I think it's not. It may feel a little bit boring. It may feel like you're always waiting to level up to reach this level. So, is this a good subclass? The good thing that this subclass has is that many of the abilities do not require focus points. But this is pure monk, so it's almost like, until level 17, it's almost like you have not a subclass. It's like the champion for the fighter. I've seen this played. It's very good for new players. They want to try the monk, but without having too many things to deal with, or too many to be stressed about the focus points. This is pretty good as a starting class, as the champion is for fighters. But in terms of, if I am an advanced player will never play Warrior of Open Hand, because it's boring for an advanced player. I would put these at the bottom in terms of fun. Even the Warrior of Mercy is better in terms of fun. So I would put it at the bottom in terms of fun. It's till level 16, it's at the bottom in terms of power. It becomes very powerful at level 17. So, but how many campaigns did you play that ended up at this level? So up to you. However, the only really good thing that they have it at level 3, it's this one. If it lands and you have advantage all the other attacks you have, this can be huge. This is even better than the advantage that the Warrior of Shadow gets. Conditional, of course. Still, tell me what you think about this analysis in the comments. I hope you liked the video. I hope you stayed with me till now. Thank you for staying here, and I hope to see you again on the Old World Game Master. To the next time.